I don't have an unlimited amount of life. Like, I'm literally spending my life on this. Like, we're spending our life on this. We're spending our life on this right now.
Yeah.
You got to spend your life on the things that really matter to you. And while it could be emotional because you're triggered, those emotions are real. Like, I was literally, like, actually upset earlier today. But then once you acknowledge that, it's like, now I have to make a conscious decision of what do I want to spend my limited resource of life on? Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited #1 podcast in the world is back, returning here on a midday episode. We're going to talk about what to do when people wrong you. Of course, we're bringing you the views, thoughts, and musings of some of the brightest people in the world, helping you on your journey to becoming the #1 version of yourself. I am your co-host, Forrest Knight, joined by co-host
Andrew Loringer. You can find me at Drew's The Move on Instagram.
Yes, sir. Forrest the Investor. So, this episode is a special one. We're actually waiting on a guest who's stuck in traffic.
Of course.
So, whenever that happens, that'll happen.
He's on Miami time.
But here's what I want to talk about. Something that is grinding my gears today. So, here's the situation. And I'm just going to put it out there because this person doesn't follow me on social media. And if they do, I don't give a fuck. But real talk.
Oh,
so recently, my car was in a fender bender, right? Car was in a fender bender. And so basically I was at the gym. Lady parks her car. The ground is sloped kind of like this. She didn't put her car in park though. It was a manual. Rolled back, hit my car.
Who does?
Fucked up my bumper, right? So let me actually tell the whole story. So I'm in the gym. I'm working out. I'm in a great mood, by the way. I'm in a fantastic mood. You know, I love fitness.
Yeah.
I love just being in the gym and being around those people, honestly. So I'm having a great time. I'm just shooting this shit. I see an army of trainers walk over, and I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Oh, they all came over like in a group?
Yeah, it was like the feds, but it was trainers. So they come over.
No windbreakers.
Right. Flip their phone over, and I'm like, no, I see my car. There's like a photo of my car. I'm like, no, with another car smushed into it.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, there's no. So I think it's terrible, right? Go out. It's not that bad, right? It was a low speed collision. But it did put a solid dent in my bumper. So they search around. They eventually find the chick who it is. It's someone I hadn't met before, but she works out near the same time as I work out. So like I knew who she was, right? So when they got her, I was like, oh, hey, like nice to finally meet you, blah, blah, blah. Let's get this sorted out. She was nice enough about it. And she was like, yeah, let's do it outside of insurance, you know, which I'm totally cool with.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want it on my car's like vehicle history report.
You just bought this car.
Yeah, just bought it. It's like when I bought it with 7,000 miles. It's 2018 M2. Love the car. Perfect condition. Didn't want to mess with the pedigree of the car, right? Kind of messing it up now by putting this on the internet. But whatever. If you buy my car, you probably wouldn't have seen this. But in any case, get it fixed. Pick the car up today. Shoot her a text, and she's kind of being fishy about it, bro. She's being fishy about it. She is. I asked her if she wanted to do like Cash App, Venmo, whatever, and she was like, "No, you should have told me it was done so that she could have sent somebody there to pay the
because
repair
she doesn't
shop."
have the money.
That's what I'm thinking.
She's paying on a credit card.
To be clear, it's a $1,500 repair, y'all. $1,500, and I understand everyone's in a different economic position, right? But the car that ran into mine was a Porsche convertible. Right. So I'm putting two and two together. You work out at Anatomy, like you have $1,500. If you don't, then you should probably sell your car and go to a cheaper gym. Right. But everybody, if you're at that gym, you got to have $1,500, right?
For sure. You think so? In
any case, and it's not an amount of money that's going to like break the bank for me. Like $1,500 is a lot of money. I'll be real with y'all. Like it's a good sum of money. It's not going to break the bank for me with where I'm at in my life right now, but it's principle, man. It's the principle, man.
But I still want to know, like,
fucking pay me.
How are you driving a Porsche manual and you don't know how to use your e-brake? That's like, bro, you don't learn how to drive manual without your number one tool is your e-brake.
Bro, we were sitting at the gym trying to figure this out for the longest. We were like, there's like 4 different ways you could park your manual car. There's a few different ways. There's a few different ways where you can stop a car that's a manual. You can put in gear. Yeah. Right? There's a parking brake.
She just left it in neutral and left the brake on done. Yeah. How did she get out and the car wasn't rolling?
I don't know, man.
That's crazy.
I don't know, man. So that's the situation. That's the frustration that I've been in.
So what's her
today.
deal? Like, why is Has the text gone further? Like, have you been like Venmo me, Cash App, whatever?
No. So the last text that I sent was, so what do you want to do then? I'm flexible, right?
Okay.
Because like
she just didn't respond.
She hasn't responded
Dude,
yet.
You're gonna see this woman at the gym every morning.
Yeah.
Is she just gonna stop going to the gym?
Yeah. And that is the point of this episode is what do you do when people wrong you? Now it's short time span. Maybe she hasn't technically wronged me yet, but
maybe she's busy.
If I was in her shoes,
but she just flat out said no.
I'd be pretty responsive. Yeah, she said nope. Right? She said nope. You should have did this, and I'm this is being recorded, so I'm not gonna say what I originally thought. But she's gonna pay one way or another, right? You're either gonna pay me money.
You're just gonna take it to small claims court if she doesn't.
Go to court.
Yeah.
Right. But
I mean, it's the principle of it. Like you said, it's not the dollar amount. It's like you made a promise, or we would have gone through insurance.
Right. Like it's not
yeah, no, I get it. So what are you thinking? What are you going to do?
Well, here's how I wanted to spend this, right? And why I wanted to talk about this is, I'm at a point in my life. I talk about mindset.
Yeah.
And I do mean it. And I'm serious. So I literally had this internal dialogue with myself today where I was like, okay, what would I do if I was worth $10 million today, which I'm not. It's my goal to be worth $10 million by the time I'm 40. If I was worth $10 million or if I just had infinite money, like, how much mental effort would I put in this? If I was truly just focused on the things that really matter to me, someone dings my car, right? Or even a hit and run happens. It's like, how much mental effort should I put into or allow this person to affect my mood, right? So I've already been out of shape about it for a few hours, mostly because I'm thinking about it, and I want to win. Part of it too is like, I want to win. Like, I'm in kind of a confrontation. And so like, I want to win, but then I always have to take a step back and I'm like, is this serving my greater purpose? Right. And I'm not saying that you should let people, roll over you. And that's not what this is. The point is like, honestly, this barely would faze me. It's not like my house burned down. My car didn't blow up. Like, I easily can pay for it. Yeah. I just want this person to do the thing that they said they would. Well, I think
where it comes from is the frustration that you're feeling is from a total lack of communication. And I think that's where a lot of frustrations come from, because someone might actually do you wrong. Like you said, we don't know if this woman did you wrong yet or not. Like, obviously she's kind of giving us some indication that she might, but like, we don't know if she's actually done wrong yet. So I think the first step would be like having an open line of communication. Now, if she closes off the communication, she did you wrong. Yeah. And then and I think at that point, that's when you're like, look, you got two options. It's either you let it go and have resentment or just forgive her or whatever, or you say, hey, look, I got to take you to court now because you made a promise and I've got to hold you to that. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I had some stuff done wrong to me recently as well.
I know.
And, and what I ended up having to do was, like, I didn't want to just be a complete rollover. Yeah. So I did actually go to court and like, I filed proceedings, but then the court gave me an option. They were like, do you want us to go hardcore with this person? And like, this person's going to get in a lot of trouble. They could get sent away, or like, how do you want to play this? Because we have a couple ways we could play this. And I said, you know what? I don't want that for that person, because I don't want to be the reason why this person's the reason why their life is the way it is. But at the same time, it's like, sometimes you just have to like stand your ground, but then like not completely decimate your like,
yeah, you have to keep your, I'm not going to say it's not a morality thing. It's more so your values, like quality of person. It's like, I don't want, because someone has wronged me, right? I don't want to stoop low. And that's really what it comes down to is, and here's, I think what's really important and how I'm probably going to think about this going forward is, everything's relative, right? Yeah. So keeping it relative to what has actually happened, how I've actually been wronged. I'm A-okay, still have the car. Car's in perfect condition now. Brahman did a great job repairing it.
Shout out Brahman BMW Miami.
Yeah, shout out. So all things considered, I'll be fine. I'm just annoyed. So it's like, how much power? I'm literally relinquishing my power to her and keeping my happiness in her hands based off of what she says, what she decides to do. And instead, it's like,
you gotta take control of it.
I literally am at the point now. It's like, look, regardless of what she does, I'm just gonna be in good mood.
Yeah, but you know what's important about that? All right, so you spent. All right, so there's I'm obviously part of this coaching program I told you guys about on the last video. Yeah. And one of the things is like, we have daily requirements that we have to hit. We have to do prayer, we have to do reading, we have to do, speaking to family members and doing certain things, hitting the gym, nutrition, etc. And there's certain times when like you can get triggered, and when you get triggered, you can fall off of that, and we all do in life.
Yeah.
And it's called drifting. Like the drifting king is the king that's not on his shit, right?
Yeah.
So when you get triggered, you get to determine how long that lasts. The trigger could last 6 months. It could last a year. Some people are triggered and they become alcoholics. They're like going off for years.
They go way off. They just fall off
and
board.
they're just gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
They've drifted, right? And so the art is to be able to catch yourself when you get triggered, sit with it, and not allow it to consume your day, but to have something that moves you out of the trigger from drifting back onto your shit.
Yeah.
So, for me, like when I get triggered, everyone's different. This is my thing is I'll put like praise music on.
Yeah.
Or I'll go read something, or I'll do some affirmations, or whatever the case is, right? Everybody has a different thing. I don't know what yours is, but like when I get triggered, I have to switch my mentality. I have to switch my mood. Sometimes I do it at the gym. So if I'm in a different, like, obviously now the gym might trigger you because this whole thing happened at the gym.
You have to make a conscious acknowledgement. I think of acknowledging your state and saying this is triggering me.
100%.
I don't feel good because of this.
Yeah.
I recognize.
You have to acknowledge the emotion.
Yeah.
So I feel angry because I've been triggered, and realizing that's why, because this person triggered something in me where I feel like I've been wronged.
Right.
Did they lie to me? Did they hurt me? This lady obviously lied to you so far, right?
Yeah.
And that could change.
She's being sketch.
She's being sketched, right? So, at any rate, it's like when you get triggered, you have the decision to say, all right, I've allowed this now to consume several hours, if not the whole day, and it's not going to consume me tomorrow. Instead, I've got a plan of action. I'm going to approach this person with someone else, maybe, right? So you have like somebody there with you, as like I don't know.
It's a mediator.
Yeah, you have a mediator.
Witness.
You've got a witness, right? I was looking for the word. So you've got a witness with you. Approach a person, talk about what happened. You know plenty of mutual people at the gym. And then you're going to go and come to some type of resolution, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't come to some type of resolution, then you're just going to have to say, look, unfortunately, I'm going to have to take legal matters. And then that's you standing your ground at that point, not getting rolled over.
Yeah. And, the way that I like to think of it in extremes is because I love extreme analogies. They're my favorite type of analogy. We live in the gray area in real life, but I think when you use extreme analogies, they put things into perspective, right? Imagine your goal was to like, whatever your life purpose is, and it's like you have some time limit on it, right? It could be something simple like, I've got to be able to run. I'm making this up as I go. I've got to be able to run 40 miles in a 48-mile marathon in a month, or I'm gonna die, right? Let's put that on it, right? You've got some crazy physical feat you've got to be able to do, and one day while you're training, right, somebody scuffs your shoe, or they steal a pencil, right, or they, bump into your bumper, whatever it is. So when you put that in the scope of your life's mission and your purpose, knowing how important it is for you to finish the thing that you need to do, how much time, energy, mental cycles, real life limited time that you have, because I am spending it, and I think a lot of people don't think about this. Like I think of my life like this all the time. I don't have an unlimited amount of life. Like I'm literally spending my life on this, right? Like we're spending our life on this. We're spending our life on this right now.
Yeah.
And so you got to spend your life on the things that really matter to you. And while it could be emotional because you're triggered, those emotions are real. Like I was literally like actually upset earlier today. But then once you acknowledge that, it's like, now I have to make a conscious decision of what do I want to spend my limited resource of life on? Knowing that it might run out, it'd be a shame and very possible, unlikely that, what if I die tomorrow and I'm in my last moments, I'm been out of shape because some woman hit my car that I already fixed. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, that's
so
deep, bro.
Love putting things in perspective like that. And I think that's a lesson.
I like that. I like the extreme analogies.
Yeah, man. I think it's
awesome.
It definitely help. I mean, real life is nuanced, but at the same time, when I take a step back and look at like great people that I admire and follow, that's almost the type of mental fortitude and direction that they have, where it's like, you ever meet somebody where it's just like you literally can't faze them, right? And that's why I want to be. And they might mentally, internally, maybe they're going through some conscious acknowledgement, but externally, you almost don't even notice because they're so driven and focused on their purpose.
Well, that's interesting. And I got a little sidetracked earlier from my thoughts, but to go back to like what recently happened with me is I was given this choice: do we like completely like decimate this individual, and like send them back to where they came from, or do we like, how do you want to play this?
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, how long is this going to take? How much time am I going to invest in this if we took extreme measures, and which aren't, in my opinion, aren't really necessary. Again, there are some authors and people that we read that are like, one of the 36, is it 38 laws of power? One of them, 48 laws of power. Yeah. They, one of them is like, destroy your enemy, right? Yeah. So it's like super extreme. I'm not there.
Worthwhile book. Don't agree with all of the methodologies, but
so I don't
check it out.
I don't agree with that. But what I would say is, if it's going to take a lot of time, a consumed amount of energy that you have to put into, completely taking someone out, which again is not necessary. Yeah. You are actually holding yourself back from moving forward in your future and potentially meeting someone absolutely amazing, or finding a great job, or, growing your business, because you are investing so much time and energy. And anytime that this thing comes up again, it could be months later, however long this situation takes, you're actually bringing yourself back into the situation from your past instead of just letting it go and living your future. So for me, I said, honestly, one of my core beliefs is forgiveness. That's huge. I believe I've been forgiven, so I need to forgive others. And for me, it's like, just let it go. And I've done what I need to do to put my foot in the line on.
Dude, that is tough.
To draw a line in the sand and say, this is what I won't accept. I'm setting a boundary, but I'm moving on with my life now. And the court system can handle it.
Yeah. Dude, forgiveness is probably my hardest. What's the thing? The thing that I've had to wrangle with the most, mostly for myself, is between me and my father. So me and my dad. Wow. Love you, Dad. Shout out if you watch this. But even now we're still working on it. Like, I didn't talk to him for a long time for a lot of reasons. But really, it's because when I'm petty, I'm acknowledging this. Like, I can get petty. And I kind of enjoy it sometimes. But what happens is though I don't let stuff go, right? And a lot of that is because I am a very principled person, right? So on one side, it's like I like holding people to account. And, if people say that they are something or are going to do something, then I think you should live up to that. But on the other hand, recognize that, people change, they do better, and you can't hold people to who they were if they're now somebody else, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially because who I am is not who I was, 10 years ago, right? People change. So
they change every week.
Yeah. And the other thing about forgiveness that I realized, and I'm glad you brought it up, is when you're upset with someone, that's your responsibility, right? And ultimately, that's what happened between me and my father. And I think that's what happens with everybody, is how you feel about a situation is your responsibility. It's within your control, right? And that person you may never get what you want from them, right? You may never get an "I'm sorry." You may never get that closure. And so you have to decide how long you're going to be upset, whether it's justified or not. You can justifiably be upset. And I talk about this in all types of things, whether it's, racial inequity and other people think about how to wrangle their life. It's like, there's a lot of stuff to be mad about, guys. The world is not fair.
No, it's not.
It's not fair, and it's not going to be fair by the time you die. Guarantee it. So how much time do you want to spend being upset about it? And how much time do you want to spend acknowledging the state of the world and thinking, all right, how far can I get? How far can I bring my family? What can I do, again, with the limited resource that is my life while I'm here? And I don't know about you, but I don't like being upset, man. Like, when I'm upset, I'm just like, it just doesn't feel good,
Doesn't
at all.
And it's interesting you brought up the whole father thing, because that's huge. And I think what happens too often is when people carry that resentment and unforgiveness in their heart, they can actually take that to the grave. Yeah. Or the person that they're mad at ends up in the grave, and they're still holding resentment, anger, animosity towards someone that's no longer even around.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that is the journey of forgiveness. It's something that we have to learn how to do. We just spoke about this in the last episode. So I made a comment about how too often we learn how to acquire things growing up, but we never learn how to lose things, right? Oh. And that was like a point that I wanted to drive home. And one of the things that we have to learn how to do as individuals, as a part of losing things, is learning how to forgive and how to let go.
Forgive them.
Yeah, forgive them. And
let them go. No.
And so, I actually read this book. It was called The Grief Recovery Handbook. There was two authors. And so the Grief Recovery Handbook was really beautiful because it wrote how a lot of us, we just don't know how to forgive and how to let go. So some of us, we're still angry with people that died. We're still, a lot of people are angry with people that they're divorced with already. That person's already married and moved on and has a whole nother family. Right. And you're still here holding resentment, wondering why your life has not progressed. Right.
And that is finish your.
No. And so in this Grief Recovery Handbook, it talks about having like that final conversation with that person to complete the cycle. Because what happens is, again, to the communication point, you have not resolved the cycle of communication with this woman yet, where you know that it's resolved or unresolved. So you're sitting in limbo, which is where the anxiety and the anger comes from.
Yeah.
So once you complete the cycle with somebody, you can either learn to forgive them or then make the decision to hold resentment. And so it's like, what you have to do is you have to complete that cycle. And a lot of people never do, especially with someone that they've died or divorced from. So when you have that conversation where you say, this is the things that I'm sorry for that I've done. These are the things that I apologize for. These are the things I love about you. These are the things I hate about you. These are the things that I'm super grateful for. And now it's time for me to say goodbye. And you literally write goodbye, sign your name. And like that, for me, I actually did that with my ex. And I did that with 2 other people in my life. And it was like, as soon as I wrote the words goodbye, I bawled crying. And it was just
that
like,
much
wow,
release.
like I feel like I released so much. And then ever since
powerful,
then,
man.
I don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even need to be in the middle of the drama or whatever it is. Like, I've completed the cycle now. Even though it wasn't physically with that person, I've now completed that cycle of communication, and now I can move on.
Yeah, man. It's crazy how powerful simple exercises like that can be. And I mean, especially when you talk about, well, what was my original thought? Whether it's loss, divorce, or even just that closure, right? Any type of closure that you want. I think, again, going back to how much do you want to give this, how much power do you want to give this person, and understanding that we're that person for somebody. There are people in my life,
Wow, that's huge.
some that I know about and some that I don't, where I am the person that they want to say something or to apologize or something, right?
Wow.
And so it's like when you realize that we're all, the protagonists looking out of our own eyes, and to someone else, we might be their antagonist, right? For whatever reason, justified or not, on purpose or not, right? I think that can help with giving other people forgiveness when you realize that, like, man, I'm holding this person to such an extreme level, but I've also kind of, messed up some point. And when you remember that, it's very hard to do. It's very hard to do. But I think that it's almost a requirement to get to a point where, again, my desire is to be this unfazed person. And I don't think it's possible unless you have that acknowledgement of your own imperfection.
It's huge. There's a scripture that says, before you judge somebody before you point out the speck in someone else's eye, remove the plank from your own.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I've got a plank sticking out of my eye. I don't even know that I wronged this person.
Right.
And I'm over here pointing out that this person has a tiny speck in their eye.
So focused, man. That's crazy, man.
Right?
All very relevant to
Super
this
relevant.
current conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
This chick went into my car.
One of the few times we didn't run off topic.
Yeah, man. That's crazy, man. So
you got to complete your cycle of communication with this person. I think you should try in person first, and then afterwards, you got to.
Here's what I'm gonna do, man. Whether she keeps playing her game, I think tomorrow I know I'm gonna wake up in a better mood, and if I see her, I'm gonna try and say, hey, I want to make it as easy as possible for you to pay me. If not, I'm disappointed. I understand that you might have, things in your life that prevent you from paying me. Either way, I forgive you, right? That's what I'm going to tell her.
You're going to do that?
That's what I'm going to tell her.
Bro, that's
and
huge.
I'm just going to not
That's huge.
be mad about it. And I mean it seriously. Like, I'm literally just not going to be mad about it. Like,
That's huge.
there's, I've been very focused on day trading, guys. So like when I think about my purpose now is day trading, still trying to get more consistent, have a lot of winning days, a lot of losing days. And that just takes a ton of mental fortitude and focus. So like I literally was trading today and I was angry. So I was like, I gave some of my gains up from the morning up because I was just angry trading. And I just realized some people, maybe it doesn't affect them. Me, I can't angry trade. Can't do it. So that is a very small example, but in general, I've worked hard enough in my life to not let random BS that comes up, take me off of my purpose.
It's huge.
And so it'd be different if it was a bigger deal, if she had like blew my car up or something, I'd take it much more seriously, but I'm literally fine. So I'll give her one more go.
That's awesome.
And, I won't assume
huge,
too
man.
much.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome.
Thanks, man. I'll report back after it
Let me
actually
know.
happens.
So I think that we should kind of wrap things up with a challenge to our audience members. I think if you have someone in your life that you feel like you have wronged, number one, let's start with you first. If you feel like, because everybody's got someone that's wronged them, let's start with you. If you have somebody that you have wronged, I think that you should absolutely write down on a piece of paper all the people that you actively acknowledge that you've done wrong to, that you can remember doing wrong to. Write it down. Think about what it was that you did and just apologize for it. Like, and literally write them a letter if you can. If there's more than like, I don't know, 10, 15 people, this exercise might take a while, but I would suggest just unloading the guilt and the shame that you may feel towards some of the things that you've done to other people, because just as much as anger carries and weighs us down, so does shame and guilt more so. So I would suggest doing that first. And then secondly, after you've done your apologies, then write down the names of people who have really done you wrong and just forgive them. And write down, hey, this is what you did to me. Acknowledge what you feel. This is how exactly what you are feeling. This is how you made me feel. This is how I feel right now. I have carried this with me for X amount of time, but it's time for me now to let it go.
That's huge, man. And then what you should do after that is record a video, a reel of how you felt afterwards. You don't have to share the details. Put it on the gram, tag us, or leave a comment. But we want to know how it went. And we'll do the same thing too. We'll do the same thing.
Absolutely.
I think that's awesome, man. That's a great idea. It's some very tangible.
And then report. And I think it would be cool for people to report, like, how do you feel afterwards? Right. And it's probably not going to be that night. It could be. Some people, like, I had instant release. Yeah. But for some people, it might hit them like a day or two later, and all of a sudden they're like, everything's going right. Everything's happening. It's just like shit's connecting. I'm feeling better at work, whatever's going on with business. So that's a challenge I would definitely put out there. I think that's strong.
I think the last challenge is go ahead and hit the subscribe button.
Oh, yes.
Hit the like button. Share this with 2 of your friends. And if you're really popular, then everybody else too. But with that, I'm Forrest.
I'm Drew.
And this is the #1 podcast in the world. Thank you for stopping by. See you in the next one.
Have a great one.